So I'm going to talk to you about influential marketing. So before I do, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background on who I am. The reason I want to say this is because in 2018, I was the Director General of the British Promotional Merchandise Association. I had 11 years in this industry. I was set to have my entire career in the promotional merchandise industry. And I left that industry into what has become the influencer marketing sector. So I've launched the Branded Content Marketing Association in that time, Influence Division, an online community of chief execs within the trade association sector and the membership world, and also the Meetings and Events Support Association. I launched my own podcast. I'd never even listened to a podcast before I launched Influence. Never written a book in my life before, and here it is. I know we've got some authors in the room here. To say that I had imposter syndrome on this was a massive understatement. 2 weeks ago, I got a letter to say that it had gone to the Business Book Awards. It's been shortlisted for Business Book of the Year. And the reason I say these things is because anything is possible if you put your mind to it, and if you're passionate about what you believe in. And I'm passionate about influence and what it can do for your business. I also write for the Evening Standard, and I run the Audience to Media, which is a global influencer marketing platform. We have 107 million influencers on that platform. So most people feel exhausted when they just listen to what I actually do in the course of a working week. Anyway, so what is influencer marketing? Does anybody know? Anyone like to hazard a guess as what they think it is? Kim Kardashian. Maybe sometimes it's, when you think about it, you sometimes think of, the typical Instagram wannabe selfies and stuff like that. 2016, this was a $1.6 billion industry, right? It's now close to 15 billion, and it's set to that sort of trajectory. Influencer marketing can be one of the most effective ways to build and grow your business when done well. It's about using and working with the right influencers. But I'm going to talk to you about how you can be more influential. So I talk about an influencer as an individual who can affect change in behavior of others, often through trusted opinion, knowledge, and content creation. We have a lot of knowledge in the room about our own areas. If I was to say to you, do you want to be an influencer? I would probably guess that most of you would probably say, not really. But do you want to be the go-to person in your niche? You want to be the person that people come to and they talk about you. Do you know what I call a brand? A brand is what somebody says about you when you're not in the room. Yeah? When I talk about Drew to people, I talk to people extremely positively because he has had an impact on the relationship I have. He is an influencer, but he wouldn't call himself an influencer because he runs and owns a community, a very successful one at that. And that's what it's all about, is actually having real influence. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what makes somebody influential. Trust is critical. Yeah? If we trust somebody, we're more likely to go out of our way to connect with those people. Right. Here's some people you may or may not know. Does anybody know who this lady is? No? So her name is Teza, right? And the reason I put her up on there is because we did when I was at the Branded Content Marketing Association in 2018, we did a survey amongst 250 very successful influencers, and we said, who do you most admire and why? She came up top of the list. And the reason she came up top of the list is because the quality of the content that she puts out is extremely high. The consistency of the content is considerable. There's no point in saying, I put a tweet out, or I did an Instagram, or I've posted something. Consistency is everything. And I mean everything. If you want to grow your voice, your influence, it's about being consistent. So that is one thing that she has. What about this lady here? Anybody know who this lady is? Supercar Blondie. She has an enormous audience on YouTube. But what she does, okay, it helps that she's got a really cool product range to be talking about. But what she does is she uses great video content. She inspires, she educates, and she really connects with her audience. What about Gary Vee? Yeah, I should have asked you that, shouldn't I? but he's an example of somebody that's a bit no holes barred. He says it how it is. People, not everybody likes Gary Vee, but those you know what you get with him. So authenticity is everything. And look at the sort of audience numbers that they have generated over the time with their social media accounts. Now, I was talking to you a moment ago about social media influencer. Well, look, all of these people are influencers. But of course, they wouldn't necessarily call themselves an influencer. But they have the ability to connect and change the behavior of others. One of the things that's really important is they have a sense of purpose. They know where they're going, What do you like? One of the people that has influenced me hugely is actually David Attenborough. When David Attenborough speaks, he's got the whole world listening. I don't know if you saw that. Was it at Christmas or so? There was a big awards thing. Do you know the one I mean? And he came on and there was that music. I actually felt, like chills on my arms because what he was trying to do. That some of his TV programs have affected change in the way that we look at the planet. So he's a living, breathing example of that. And so is this young lady, love her or loathe her, she has moved the goalposts. She said, it's not enough. Actions speak louder than words. What great influential people do is they listen to their audience, right? They don't keep doing the same thing all of the time. So it's really important that you study your competitions. Here's a really great little technique for you. Particularly if most of you, I would imagine, are on LinkedIn. Go and have a look at 10 what you would consider are competitors or exemplars, and go and have a look at the last 10 posts that they have done. And create yourself an Excel spreadsheet and look at the attributes of each of those posts. Was it a video? Was it a stat? Whatever it was, make a note of all of those last 10. If you can imagine, you've then got 10 across the top and 10 down below. You're going to get almost like a washing machine of ideal content. Yeah? What's really working? Because you're going to see how their followers are behaving to that type of content. So you can imagine taking all of it and consuming it and then saying, right, on average, people are liking polls, they're liking stats, they're liking all these things. So one of the most important things always is listen to your audience. If something isn't working, change it. Don't keep doing the same thing. Now, within the influencer space, we have a huge amount of data. I was talking to you about this platform that I'm involved with, 107. We can tell you where all of your followers are located. We can tell you about the split of male, female, the age demographic, the ethnicity. We can also look at the quality of your audience. So how many of them have been maybe bought or not? Because what you want to do as an individual, you want to make sure that you've got responsive people taking actions as a result of the content that you're creating. So the reason I say that, not that they don't just listen to their audience, they know their audience, yeah? Because they've got a lot of statistics behind that. If you look at who's on Instagram, is everybody on Instagram? If you've got a business account, you'll be able to see the analysis. You'll be able to see what the actions of your followers are doing. Relatable content, yeah? That's really, really important. You can create filters on your grids, or any of the things here. And this is a very good example of somebody I know. It happens to be a mummy blogger, but the point is she's consistent with her tone and voice. There's another individual, massive on LinkedIn. I love what she's saying here is find your purpose, tell your story, grow your presence. Now, what she does here is she shares a lot of very personal information. And I know for some of us, it can be quite difficult. But what we want to be able to connect with people now on a much, much more human level. Do you not think over the last 2 years, the difficulty that we've gone through, all of us, if we can relate to somebody and say, do you know what, I'm not just one big hotshot, actually, I've had some difficulties, I've had some challenges, but this is what's happened, this is how I've come out the other end. Because I think that makes it much more relatable, and she's living proof of that. I thought it'd be quite interesting for you to see what motivates us to follow somebody. Why do we hit follow? Why do we hit subscribe? Now we're in the attention economy. That's the biggest challenge that we all have, is how do we stand out amongst that crowd? And certainly quality content is one, but top of the list is we want to find something new. We want to be entertained. Remember, you need to be entertaining, educational, or inspirational. Those three things. Always remember educational, entertaining, and inspirational, which is why you sometimes see people put quotes, but could you add music to that? Could you leave an emotional attachment? Because if you add anything that's emotional, you're going to change the behavior. What else have we got here? Inspiration is quite high there. Learning about new products and services. But what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to make it look out of sync. So if you want to promote a product or service, try and create a story behind that. One of the most successful types of content is what we call behind the scenes. Tell people about how your product is made, how your service. Any of you have taken some content here, taking content outside of the book, for example. What you've seen, what you've experienced. Have a chance to speak with somebody and take that content. Yeah? I want to just share you an example of my book launch, which I had last year. Now, given that the subject is influencer marketing, can you imagine if I'd put a post on LinkedIn and it would have died, I would have literally felt extremely embarrassed. So I used every trick in the book. So I want to just share with you some of those things. So first of all, any sort of post that you might put on LinkedIn, be quite detailed, yeah? What the algorithm's like more than anything else is quality content, yeah? On average, how many of you have done a post and you think, my God, nobody's seeing that, or I've got 4 likes, or 1 comment, you think, oh dear, it's really tough. And that's because it's only showing a very small percentage of your existing audience. So what LinkedIn wants is quality content that people are going to respond to. So, first of all, always try and create some form of personal story. Use photos and videos that captivate an emotional response. Respond to all of the comments all of the time, because if you're doing that and quickly, you're more likely, if you're doubling and doubling the amount of so the algorithm is saying, oh, juicy, more and more comments, I'll push it out to more and more people. And just to add to that, if you are responding to anybody else's comments, which is a very, very good thing to do, is to target your existing clients and be active on their profiles. But don't just say, awesome, well done. Put a quality message behind that. Because your client, your prospective client is going to think, oh, that's nice, because you're recognizing your client, but also other people within that feed are also eyeballing your content. And if it's something that's really well made, then that's a really, really good way for you to start to engage with that client. What I did here is I engaged a small pod of relevant supporters. Now, this is what I call my circle of influence. These are a small group of people, no more than 5 or 6 people, that would do anything for you. Would you mind just sharing this post for me? Would you do whatever? So think about, within your own network, 5 people that could be your ideal circle of influence, right? And what I said, I'm going to share this post at 8 o'clock in the morning. Can you just write something there? And it obviously made a difference. Also, don't share posts without any... So if you see something from the BBC, don't just go and share it without any form of commentary. In fact, I would say don't share it. Lift some of the points that are made in that commentary and then create your own story behind it. That gives you much, much more weight and focus. You can also create your own personal URL. Anybody knows that, but if you look at mine at the top there, it doesn't just say Gordon Glenister, it says Gordon Glenister Influencer Marketing Membership, because that's my specialism. So every time I comment on LinkedIn, people are always seeing that I'm an influencer marketing specialist, all of the time. So effectively, what you're doing is you're subtly branding your target audience. And did it work? Well, the answer was we got 16,000 views, 141 comments, and 324 likes. So, and I know that there are bigger posts out there that people have got, but that for a book launch wasn't a bad shout. You can host your own podcast. Has anybody got a podcast in the room? Amazing, great. So this is a great way to show your influence. Now, I always tend to get guests on my podcast. Why do you think I should get guests on my podcast? Reach, because if they share my pod, and the bigger their audience, so it's what I call credibility by association. You're never going to make it big on your own. Let's not kid ourselves. We're not. We need partners, we need supporters, and we need advocates. And if you can get the right type of people that have got bigger audiences, you will find things will really grow. You can join groups, all sorts of different organizations, whether they be private members clubs, whether they be charitable groups, Facebook groups. I've just put a number that's on there. But what do you do within, and I've even put down community groups or being on the parish council or whatever. But this is all to do, who said yay? Oh, bless you. What was the name of the lady that went viral? What was her name? Jackie Weaver. Oh my goodness. I mean, that just shows you. So there's hope for all of us, isn't there? But what can you do? What can you do in groups? Yeah. So it's not just about I'm a member. Be active. Host a community or a group. Take a leadership role. Apply for a board role. This is about you being noticed. This is about you being influential within your niche. Lots of associations, for example, have special interest groups. If there isn't already one, go join one. Be involved in a project or a cause that you can lead. Sign up to be an expert. Yeah, even Google Knowledge is a great way. There's lots of ways in which you can be seen as an expert in your field. Run a webinar, talk. You can be seen as everybody that joins that organization, you be the person that welcomes them. You could be an ambassador. Or you can be the person that's known for something. Yeah, have a little niche, and it's, we've got to speak to Drew. Drew knows how to do this. So Drew's your man. That's what you want to be seen as. Or that, Gordon will know somebody because he always knows people. Yeah, that's what you want to be planting with people. And also commenting on our articles and posts. I did put this in here. I'm not sure it's so relevant now. But actually, in the day, Clubhouse was a significant way of you hosting communities and groups. Definitely be using polls, whether they be on Twitter, but think about the types of polls that you... So don't just think, wouldn't it be a good idea if we did a poll? Find out what types of polls are really working. Yeah? Even the most, if there's something trending at the moment on a football or something, or a particular story, try and find a way of weaving a poll because people are talking about that. And that way, particularly on LinkedIn, of course, you can see all of the people that have responded to that poll. Make sure that you have a content plan, yeah? And do you remember I spoke to you about consistency? Consistency is everything. So if anybody of you want to go and have a look at my Instagram, you'll see exactly what I mean. I have a regular process that I do and repeat play all of the time. In fact, I'll tell you a little secret. I have somebody else managing my Instagram account. But that's the point. That's one of the best lessons I learned of the last year. They get direction from me, but actually somebody else manages it, and very effectively. So there's nothing to stop any of you having somebody else manage that. Have a weekly moment. Yeah? What is your weekly moment? Now, mine happens to be on a Wednesday morning at 8:30, between 9:30, every single Wednesday. If any of you want to join that, it's totally free. It's called the Weekly Roundtable, Weekly Influencer Marketing Roundtable. We've had some amazing guests. We provide lots of content. It doesn't have to be a Zoom roundtable. It could be a newsletter upload. It could be something that you do, but you do it at the same time every single week. Remember that, to be consistent. So I'm just going to finish with a few little tips here, which is really about how do you create your own strategy. You know, what is your personal brand identity? Do you, for example, on the Zoom calls, do you have a little message alongside your name? Do you have a Zoom background? Yeah? Is your LinkedIn profile the same? So I want to think of you within 3 words. How can I remember you when I'm talking to somebody else in 3 words? That's my question to you, because the shorter we can make something, the more likely we will be remembered to somebody else. Definitely attend panels and speak at events if you feel comfortable doing that. Obviously, if you don't. But these are great ways to get yourself attention. There's 2 great platforms in the B2B space. One is Analytica, and the other is Thinkers 360. Can you hear me? Is that all right? That's right. And the other is that all? Was it popped down? Fashion linkage. Is that better? Okay, right. Go check out these things, Analytica and Thinkers 360. So these are free platforms for you to belong to. And this is a great way to really boost and grow your influence. Anybody know the social selling index? Right? Go on to, just Google that, and it will give you a score of where you are within online social media. And if it's low, then it gives you an opportunity to measure your influence and do something about it. And that's what I'm really saying there. There you go. I hope that was of interest to you. I hope I've inspired you with a few things that you can do. There's a whole lot more than that. But thanks very much for taking the time to listen to me today.